Well, hey there, hello, welcome to the attic of the dollhouse for another reading from Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. That's right, yes sir. Welcome to the attic. We're gonna have a little fun now, aren't we now? I hope so, but before we do, let's get the mood straight now, shall we? We gotta get them lights off, get that fire crackling element going. Play us a little bit of blues harp, that's right. My Suzuki D harp, to be specific there. Having a little fun now. That's right. Hey, all right, quit screwing around, dude. Get into the reading of the Grimm's Complete Fairytales. That's right. Hey, what are we going to read tonight? You may be wondering if you hadn't been gandering at the title of Ferdinand the Faithful and Ferdinand the Unfaithful. Oh, having a little fun now, aren't we now? All right. Once upon a time, there lived a man and a woman who, so long as they were rich, had no children. But when they were poor, they had a little boy. They could, however, find no godfather for him, so the man said he would just go to another place to see if he could get one there. As he went, a poor man met him, who asked him where he was going. He said he was going to see if he could get a godfather. He was poor, so no one would stand as godfather for him. "Oh," said the poor man, "thou art poor and I am poor. I will be godfather for thee, but I am so ill off I can't give the child nothing. Go home and tell the nurse that she is to come to the church with the child." When they all got to the church together, the beggar was already there, and he gave the child the name of Ferdinand the Faithful. When he was going out the church, the beggar said, "Now go home, and I can give thee nothing, and likewise art to give me nothing." But he gave the key to the nurse and told her when she got home she was to give it to the father, who was to take care of it until the child was 14 years old. And then he was to go on the heath where there was a castle, which the key would fit, and that all which was therein should belong to him. Now, when the child was 7 years old and had grown very big, he once went to play with some older boys, and each of them boasted that he had got more from his godfather than the other. But the child could say nothing, as he was vexed, and went home and said to his father, "Did I get nothing at all then from my godfather?" "Oh, yes," said the father. "Thou hast a key if there is a castle standing on the heath. Just go to it and open it." And then the boy went thither, and no castle was to be seen or heard of. After 7 years more, when he was 14 years old, he again went thither, and there stood the castle. And when he had opened it, there was nothing within but a horse, a white one. And then the boy was so full of joy because he had a horse, and when he mounted on it, galloped back to his father. "Now I have a white horse, and I will travel," said he. So he set out, and as he was on his way, a pen was lying on the road. At first he thought he would pick it up, but then again he thought to himself, "Thou shalt leave it lying there. Thou wilt easily find a pen where thou art going, if thou hast a need for one." As he was thus riding away, a voice called after him, "Ferdinand the Faithful, take it with thee." He looked around but saw no one, and then he went back again and picked it up. When he had ridden a little way further, he passed a lake, and a fish was lying on the bank, gasping and panting for breath. So he said, "Wait, my dear fish, I will help thee to get back into the water." And he took hold of it by the tail and threw it into the lake. And then the fish put its head out of the water and said, "As thou hast helped me out of the mud, I will give thee a flute, and when thou art in any need, play on it, and then I will help thee. And if thou lettest anything fall into the water, just play, and I will reach it out of there." And he rode away, and there came to him a man who asked him where he was going. "Oh, to the next place." Then the man asked what his name was. "Ferdinand the Faithful." "So, then we have almost the same name. I'm called Ferdinand the Unfaithful." And they both set out to the inn in the nearest place. Now it was unfortunate that Ferdinand the Unfaithful knew everything that the other had ever thought and everything he was about to do. He knew it by the means of all kinds of wicked arts. There was, however, in the inn an honest girl who had a bright face and behaved very prettily. She fell in love with Ferdinand the Faithful because he was a handsome man, and she asked him whether he was going. "Oh, I'm just traveling round about," said he, and then she said he ought to stay there, for the king of that country wanted an attendant or an outrider, and he ought to enter his service. And he answered he could not very well go to anyone like that and offer himself. And then he said to the maiden, "Oh, but I will soon do that for thee." And so she went straight to the king and told him that she knew of an excellent servant for him. He was so well pleased with that, and had Ferdinand the Faithful brought to him, and wanted to make him his servant. He, however, liked better to be an outrider, for where his horse was, there was he also wanted to be. So the king made him an outrider. When Ferdinand the Unfaithful learnt that, he said to the girl, "What? Dost thou help him and not me?" "Oh," said the girl, "I will help thee too." She thought, "I must keep friends with that man, for he is not to be trusted." And she went to the king and offered him as a servant. The king was willing. Now when the king met his lords in the morning, he always lamented and said, "Oh, if I had but my love with me." Ferdinand the Unfaithful was, however, always hostile to Ferdinand the Faithful, so once when the king was complaining thus, he said, "Thou hast the outrider, send him away to get her, and if he does not do it, his head must be struck off." Then the king sent for Ferdinand the Faithful and told him that there was in this place or in that place a girl that he loved, and that he was to bring her to him, and if he did not, he should die. Ferdinand the Faithful went into the stable to his white horse and complained and lamented, "Oh, what an unhappy man I am." Then someone behind him cried, "Ferdinand the Faithful, why weepest thou?" He looked round but saw no one, and went on lamenting, "Oh, my dear little white horse, now must I leave thee, now must I die." And then someone cried once more, "Ferdinand the Faithful, why weepest thee?" Then, for the first time, he was aware that it was his little white horse who was putting that question. Dost thou speak, my little white horse? Canst thou do that? And bring the bride. And again he said, "I am to go to this place and to that. Am I to bring the bride? Canst thou tell me how I am to set about it?" Then answered the little white horse, "Go thou to the king, and say if he will give thou what thou must have, thou wilt get her for him. And if he will give thee a ship full of meat and a ship full of bread, it will succeed. Great giants dwell on the lake, and if thou takest no meat for them, they will tear thee to pieces. And there are the large birds which would pick the eyes out of thy head if thou hast no bread for them." The king made all the butchers in the land kill, and all the bakers bake, that the ships might be filled. And when they were full, the little white horse said to Ferdinand the Faithful, "Now mount me and go with me into the ship. And then when the giants come, say, 'Peace, peace, my dear little giants, I have had thought of ye, something I have brought for ye. When the birds come, thou shalt again say, Peace, peace, my dear little birds, I have thought of ye, something I have brought for ye. Thou wilt do nothing to thee, and when thou'st come to the castle, the giants will help thee. Then go up to the castle and take a couple giants with thee. There the princess lies sleeping. Thou must, however, not awaken her, but the giants must lift her up and carry her in bed to the ship. And now everything took place as the little white horse had said, and Ferdinand the Faithful gave the giants and the birds what he had brought for them, and that made the giants willing. And they carried the princess in her bed to the king. And when she came to the king, she said she could not live. She must have her writings. And they had been left in her castle. And then by the instigation of Ferdinand the Unfaithful, Ferdinand the Faithful was called. And the king told him he must fetch the writings from the castle, or he should die. Then he went once more to the stable and bemoaned himself and says, Oh, my dear little white horse, now am I to go away again? How am I to do it? Then the little white horse said he was just to load the ships full again. So it happened again as it happened before, and the giants and the birds were satisfied and made gentle by the meat. When they came to the castle, the white horse told Ferdinand the Faithful he must go in, and that on the table in the princess's bedroom lay the writings. And Ferdinand the Faithful went in and fetched them. And when they were on the lake, he let his pen fall in the water. Then he said to the white horse, Now I cannot help thee at all. But he remembered his flute and began to play on it. And the fish came with his pen in its mouth and gave it to him. So he took the writings to the castle where the wedding was celebrated. The queen, however, did not love the king because he had no nose. But she would have much liked to love Ferdinand the Faithful. Once, therefore, when all the lords of the court were together, the queen said she could do feats of magic, and that she could cut off anyone's head and put it on again, and that one of them ought to just try it. But none of them would be the first. So Ferdinand the Faithful, again at the instigation of Ferdinand the Unfaithful, undertook it, and she hewed off his head and put it on again for him, and it healed together directly, so that it looked as if he had a red thread round his throat. Then the king said to her, My child, and where hast thou learned that? Yes, she said, I understand the art. Shall I just try it on thee also? Oh, yes, said he, but she cut off his head and did not put it on again, but pretended that she could not get it on and that he would not keep fixed. Then the king was burned, or buried rather, but she married Ferdinand the Faithful. He, however, always rode on his white horse, and once when he was seated on it, it told him that he was to go on to the heath which he knew, and gallop 3 times round it. And when he had done that, the white horse stood up on its hind legs and was changed into a king's son. And that has been Ferdinand the Faithful and Ferdinand the Unfaithful from Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. That's right. Hey, did you like that fairy tale? I know I did. Boy, it had a few similar elements, but they mixed them all up in a pretty interesting way. I dare say it made for a really captivating tale there. Anyway, hey, we're here for the fun now, ain't we? Ain't we? All right, hey, let's take us out. I got before I do that, I got an affiliate link here for Grimm Complete Fairy Tale in the description. So if you want to get you a copy, support the channel, go right ahead, or you can do your shopping through that link and support the channel. And if you do, I'd be greatly appreciative of it. I won't take your head off of it anyway. Yeah, so hey, let's get to a little more harp there, all right? All right, hey, hope you enjoyed yourself. And as I always say here, sometimes, yeah, uh, kisses to your missus and a tip of my hat to your old cat. You come on back again now, you hear? You understand? I hope you do. All right there. You have yourself a good time now. See ya.